not just going after signature strikes, not just going after targeting of rescuers, but going after murder. And so, with a great deal of credit and appreciation to human rights groups, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, etc., that do great work on the death penalty and even on reports on drone victims, choosing to ignore the UN Charter, choosing to ignore the Kellogg-Briand Pact, choosing to accept war, and then only focus on atrocities and specific tactics within war, and ask the president to tell us what the secret law is, as if laws can be secret, and get it straight and figure out which drone murders are good and which drone murders are bad, is a very difficult proposition, even on its own terms. Ultimately, it ends up being a political decision, not an empirical one, which drone murders are good or bad. Nobody can observe and calculate, was it necessary, proportionate, sufficiently targeted at militants rather than civilians? Was it discreet enough? Were the intentions sufficiently benevolent? It's a political decision, and so you're legalizing a new form of warfare that is very, very tempting and easy and insidious. The UN Special Rapporteur says that drones are making war the norm rather than the exception. And so rather than do that, I want to get back to the idea that predates World War II of getting rid of war. There is a law, this book over here is about a law that our great-grandparents put on the books that's still there, still on the State Department's website, an international treaty called the Kellogg-Briand Pact that bans war. Right? And we choose to ignore that and to look at the UN Charter, which legalizes war in certain cases, that is defensive or UN authorized and so forth. And now we're getting to the point of ignoring the UN Charter and allowing war if it's high-tech enough. And I think we have to get back to the vision of abolishing war, which means having a movement that doesn't just try to end the war in Iraq, that doesn't just try to end the war in Afghanistan, that tries, in fact, to once and for all end World War II, which, as we've just seen, has never ended in the American South. The troops have never come back from Germany or Japan. The pressure is on in those countries that were forced into peace to force them into good wars. The taxes have never gone back down. The military spending has never gone away. The permanent military structure and the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned of on his way out of office dominates this city. We have roughly $1 trillion a year spent out of that building down the street there on militarism every year. About $2 trillion globally, about $1 trillion of that $2 trillion out of this town. That is money that could revolutionize human life on this planet for the better. A fraction of it could provide the world with food, water, medicine, sustainable energy, education. This is a choice of where we put our money. And if we look at ending war, whole worlds of opportunities open up. Now, we face this argument that we can't end war, and there are all sorts of different forms that it takes. But the fact is that war is relatively new. It's been around maybe 12,000 years, which is a fraction of how long our species has been around. It's not in our genes. It doesn't come naturally. Nobody suffers PTSD from war deprivation. Nobody has a longing for war. It's very, very unnatural. You have to be severely conditioned to take part in it. And they've gotten very good at that. From 20% of participants in World War II actually being willing to kill somebody to 90% now. They know how to do the conditioning. They don't know how to do the deconditioning when you get out of it again. But it is not something natural, and it is not something pervasive. They will tell you there's always been a war someplace. There's always not been a war, many other places. And there have been nations and societies that have gone for centuries without war. And there are parts of the globe that didn't know war until Western society came to them. There are tribes of people asked by anthropologists, why would you not shoot that arrow at that man who's coming to enslave your family? And the answer is because it would kill him.